Hey, how's it going, everyone? Excuse me. I'll be with you in just a bit. Let me know if the audio is coming in okay for you. And again, thanks for being here on your Sunday night in the U.S. Appreciate you being here. Europe, I know it's early in the morning. And of course, if you're in Asia, welcome to another work week, Monday morning. See you guys shortly. Hello again, everyone. Excuse me. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and this is our live stream. So glad y'all could be here. Hope the audio is coming in okay for you. Let me just take a quick look at comments so far. Roll call. Mutant Ref, how you doing? James Richter, Frank Park. First time I've seen your name. Welcome aboard. Again, if you guys are new, or if it's your first time here, go ahead and type in new and where you are from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you. JS, first time I've seen you as well. Let's see. Tony, how is it up there? How's things going there? I guess you're getting things ready for the rest of us that hope to make that trip, huh? Good to have you, Tony. Polynesian Pip, aloha, how you doing? Mitch Alex, Uber Forum. I've been hearing about this PSLV challenge. Um, I haven't really had a chance to look into it, so let me know what this is, what you guys think about it, and see what it's about. I've seen it on Twitter, but I haven't had a chance to dig deep into it. VK Travelog, thank you. I hope I can keep the bar up. It's always a challenge week in and week out, but this isn't about me. This is about all of you out there. So appreciate your comment there. Chris Primer, let's see who else is out here. So yes, as always, hello everyone. And again, thank you for being here. And if it is your first time here, please do subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified on updates and give us a thumbs up. If you like what we do, we truly do appreciate your support. Those thumbs up they're really a big deal for us. So we really do thank you for that. Social media, you can find us at silverbullion.com.sg. Besides being a gold and silver dealer, we're much more than that. We do specialize in wealth protection. And again, as I always say, all of you out there probably know already what's going on. So do visit our website and see what we can do to help you along with what you need to do for systemic wealth protection. It is what we specialize in. Silver Bullion SG is our Facebook handle. Silver Bullion PL is where you can find us on Twitter. Audio versions, SBTV iTunes, SBTV Spotify. If you go over on bit.ly/SBTV iTunes or /SBTV Spotify, and do join our crisis tracker group. Again, as always, this is where we go ahead and we look through financial, economic news, gold and silver news. We go through it all and we put forth articles that probably pertain, that definitely pertain to gold and silver, and the topics that you might want to be taking a look at. So again, download that Telegram app. and just go ahead and join that crisis tracker group, t.me/crisis tracker, and we'll pass along as much info as we can, usually on a daily basis. So again, welcome. Welcome for being here. I just want to run through some more names here. Robert Carter, first time I've seen you here. Welcome aboard. Appreciate you being here. And again, as always, if you're new, let us know where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you there. So, quite a bit of people out here. Jenny Bunt, how you doing, ma'am? Thank you for joining. Let's see what else. See Patrick Bateman, how you doing? Yeah, so guess we'll go ahead and we'll get started. We have a special guest coming up this week. A first time guest. She goes as the resource maven, Gwen Preston. As a senior writer with the Northern Miner, Gwen spent years visiting projects and interviewing geologists, management teams, and analysts to understand which projects and pieces of news mattered and why. Having a deep base of knowledge and a network of contacts across the sector, Gwen is indeed a resource maven and does know mining and exploration. So she'll be coming up this week, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty enlightening interview. So, having said that, we will move on to our ebook giveaway. And we're going to be giving away The Big Silver Short by Chris Marcus. Chris, he's been doing a lot of work. He's been posting a lot of tweets on Twitter, helping us to understand what's going on in the SLV market. So we want to help acknowledge him by offering his book as our thank you gift. So he is the author of this book and host of Arcadia Economics, and hopefully he will be joining us later today if all goes well, technically speaking. And his book goes over a similar situation that is playing out in the silver market at this very moment. And The Big Silver Short does provide a perfectly timed hand guide to profit from one of the greatest investing opportunities in history. So to win this ebook, house rules, do download the Kindle app from your app store for either your phone or your tablet. Be the first to answer correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. You're going to have about a minute and 30 seconds. And winners outside the US will be offered a different prize. This is because Kindle doesn't allow ebooks or gifts outside of the US. And you're going to have to give your email to us. So what we'll do is my colleague Vincent is standing by. He will go ahead and mute your comment so that way you can send him your email and no one else will see it. And then we'll be able to go ahead and send you your ebook. Okay, this one is a bit different. This question is not coming from a past interview. This question is coming from something that deals with Chris Marcus, who again hopefully will be here soon. And you're going to have to know Chris to know this question. The question is, what is the name of Chris Marcus's dog? And he says it a lot from time to time on Twitter. So if you know the name of his dog, go ahead and let us know, and you may win his ebook. So you got about a minute and 20 seconds more. Okay, what is the name of Chris Marcus's dog? So let's see names coming in. All right, so I see Yanks. I see Zeus. Zeus is a nice name. And Chris Marcus, yeah, he's the man. He's been doing a lot of work. Okay, so what's the name of his dog? Silver Dog. That's a good guess. Arcadia, Silver Dog. Nibbles. What else is out there? Silver. What else is out there? I see Nibbles again. Silver, Copper. Let's see what else is out there. A lot of good guesses. Okay, Silver Dog. Okay, Zeus. I like that name, Zeus. Tonto. Tonto is good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and round it up with 10 more seconds here. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at what the answer is. Okay, so that's it. We'll stop at Uy Ustik. Name of his dog is, let's see there. Name of his dog is Nibbles. Okay, So let me run through this real quick and see how many nibbles we got out there. Okay. Um, all right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. It's okay. So what I'll do is I'll take the first winner who was actually hang on, let me get down here. Pablo Pina. You were the first one that was right with nibbles. Okay, so Pablo Pina is the winner. He will get Chris Marcus's book, The Big Silver Short. And then we're looking at Harold B. Okay, he's number 2. He's going to be giving up the runner-up. He given the runner-up prize. Sorry, guys. Build Your Own Bank by Aon Schmidt. So Harold B. Then we're looking at Jan Lee. Okay, and then we're looking at Jeff 702. And then we are looking at, hang on, let me just get one more name there. Jeff 702. And then we're looking at, let's see, Silver Dog. Silver Dog's a good name. L Torsen 1. Okay, L Torsen 1. That's 1, 2, 3. And then one more. So the last winner to make it in time to be in the top 5 will be Robert Carter. Okay, so Robert Carter, you're also the other winner, the last winner. Okay, so those are your winners. And hopefully my colleague Vincent got them. Yes, he is nibble. Okay, hang on. I'm just getting a message from Chris Marcus now. Okay, so hang on there. All right, so moving on. Sorry about that, guys. It's always trying to keep up. You guys always get the answer. So I want to go back and take a look at Chris Powell from GATA. Last week we had him on for our interview, and he touched on some really great info. And I want to go over on 3 segments from that interview, and I do hope you found time to hear what Chris Powell had to say. So here's one clip from what he said.
Central banks have enormous power. They have the power to create and deploy infinite money. But in recent years, I've come to think that is not their greatest power. Great as that power is, it's not their greatest power. Their greatest power is their control over the mainstream financial news organizations, or the cowardice of the mainstream financial news organizations.
Okay, so Chris Powell says their greatest power is over the mainstream financial news organizations. What do you folks think about that? Is that true? And this was something that got a bit exposed with that whole Reddit Wall Street bets thing, because on one hand, if people are saying there's a bit of collusion or whatever it is because they used Reddit and they use that as a message board to go ahead and collectively uh, place trades. Well, what's the difference between using a mainstream financial news organization and some pundit saying get this stock, get that stock, and he's preaching it out to millions? So it's kind of, I see it as sort of a double standard there. But Chris Powell does say the greatest power is over the mainstream financial news organization. So maybe there's some truth to that. Curious to see what you guys think. Here's another clip from Chris Powell.
Gold and silver are independent forms of money, potentially independent, that challenge central bank control of money. Central banks don't want to allow that. They don't want the world to have an independent form of money. That money would wreak havoc on government currencies, because government currencies have been so overinflated. Their supply has been just increased so much in the last year. Market prices for gold and silver would really damage government currencies. So governments cannot permit free markets in the monetary metals.
Okay, so that's another great point from Chris Powell from GATA. Governments cannot permit free markets of the monetary metals. Do you feel this is true or not? And we're going to touch on this by looking at some interesting key points expressed in the London gold pool. Now, some of you may be familiar with that, and some may not. Some feel like what we're in today is the London gold pool 2.0, or revised, repackaged, whatever it may be. But Chris does say governments cannot permit free markets of the monetary metals. So again, I'm curious to see what you have to say about that. I'm looking at the comments, a lot of people are saying manipulation. A lot of people are saying, um, I guess well, a lot of people are saying, yes, mainstream media does have quite a bit of power and influence. And as Robert Carter says, it's a big problem. It is a big problem. I mean, imagine if you're the only guy giving news and everybody has to listen to you. Your opinion becomes the news, and that's kind of where we are today. And we need more independent journalism, and we need a lot of the journalists to do their independent research, which is why, again, I'm hoping Chris can make it because he has been doing the work, and it'll be good to see the things that he's found. So we'll see if Chris can make it there. One more clip from Chris Powell.
Perhaps 90% of the gold that the investment world thinks it owns doesn't exist. What would happen on that glorious day when the Archangel Gabriel came down and told everybody demand delivery, and people found out that 90% of their metal wasn't there? Well, the price on the remaining metal would probably go up a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, so that's another great point. Perhaps 90% of the metal is not there. And I know a lot of you folks have been seeing the numbers where it may even be 85%. Now, I can't prove this one way or the other. And all we can do is form an educated opinion on this. And with what was exposed in the past few weeks, yes, things do not add up. But there's a reason why, where history explains why. And when, again, we take a look at the London gold pool coming up, it's going to start to shed some light on some things. So before we get there, I want to head over to our website, silverbullion.com.sg, and take a look at the silver price and how it's going. So here we are. Silver, 27.59, so it's gone up a bit, some 23 cents. Gold is up a little as well. It's up about 10 cents right now. Nickel, if you've been watching these live streams, you've seen it move from 15 to 16 to 17, 18, now 19, over 19,000 per ton. Nickel is very hot right now. Nickel's high was just under 50,000 per ton, about 2007, 2008, around that area. So it's still less than half its all-time highs. And the reason is because nickel is one of the key metals for electric vehicle batteries. And as we know, there is a movement going towards green energy and electric vehicles. So that's part of the reason, if not the biggest reason, why we're seeing nickel starting to move. Again, the investor kit, go ahead and sign up or download it. It's free. Just click on it. And again, as always, do sign up for a storage account. It's free. There are no maintenance fees. Silver to gold ratio, we are now below 65. 64.7 is the ratio. It takes 64.7 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. And it's now on the radar where you may want to consider it's time to start flipping your silver over into gold. It's getting close to that point. We find that somewhere around 50 seems to be a good place to switch over to gold. Okay, so a lot of people play the ratio, and this is what they're looking for. So having said that, one more thing I want to touch on real quick. There's been a lot of talk about 1,000 ounce LBMA bars being kind of difficult to get. If you've been following me on Twitter, I've been giving you the numbers where 155 dropped to 147, 147 dropped to 133, around there, and now it's down to 127. So these bars are moving quick. The 1,000 ounce LBMA bars, they are still out there, but they're moving quick. And with all the news of comics, I think you're seeing people who are really starting to move into this bar and starting to buy. So one thing I want to go over with you, when you do store with us, you are eligible to use your silver and gold as collateral. So I just want to go through this real quick. The green section here is borrowing. This is if you want to borrow money and use your silver and gold as collateral. The blue section here is if you want to lend money. Okay, so one side is borrowing, one side is lending. Now take note that you can borrow in three different currencies: Singapore dollars, US dollars, and of course euro. So just click on the flag to view the request and offers of the respective currency. So let me go down a bit. You can see this one here is a 6 month borrowing request. Okay, so this is a loan for 6 months. The borrower wants to borrow 20,500 USD, and putting up collateral, he's offering 500 ounces, another parcel of 500 ounces, and another parcel of 500 ounces. So you can see that what's being offered as collateral is truly there. And you can go ahead and even click on that, and you will see the parcel itself. You will see the identification number of the parcel. You can see even where it is, where it's stored at, which would be the safe house, and what the valuation is. So, again, very, very transparent. You can see what is going on there. So from here, again, you can, as a potential lender, let's say, you can also click on view, but what happened is you're not going to see any collateral again because you don't need to have any gold or silver in storage to be a lender. Basically, you just wire money over into your peer-to-peer account, and then that can be offered as a lending offer. So you can also see the borrower, as I showed you, he had parcels, which is his collateral, and if the lender likes the terms of this offer, he can go ahead and accept it, and the loan will be matched. And in the same way, if the borrower likes whatever the lenders are offering, he can go ahead and go into a contract as well. And up here, to show you one more thing, you can even view the last 10 loans. So you can see that, yes, this is active, where on the 22nd of February, the payout is going to be on March 1st because there are four different times throughout the month that there's a payout: the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd. So he made this loan on the 22nd, so his payout will be on the 1st, and he's asking for 28,000 Sing for 1 month at a 3.75% rate per annum. So you can see that it happens. People do it, and they do it quite a lot. So you can see a lot were created on the 21st and 22nd. So again, I do hope you understand this, or if you don't, sorry about that. Go ahead and send us an email at sales@silverbullion.com.sg, and we can help you get through it. We can talk you through it, or call us at +65, which is Singapore 61003040. So again, the peer-to-peer loans is something unique that we do, and something you can take advantage of when you do store with us. Moving over to Twitter. So I want to take a look at a few quick things. Chris Marcus, dear Federal Reserve Chairman Powell, I'm not sure if paper towels are included in the CPI. As we know, the Fed does not count food and energy. But at least here in Austin, you have already saved us from the low inflation crisis. So if you want to loosen up on the gas pedal a bit for now, that would be great. And what he's showing is a picture of paper towels at $7.79. That's quite expensive there. It's quite expensive. Okay, moving on down. Who are the largest silver billionaires? There's Eric Sprott, there's Hugo Salinas, and this is actually a good question. Who else is there other than these two, or aside from these two? What do you folks think? What do you folks think? That's a great question. Chris from Mullen from the Tech Traders. What is the next move for silver gold? Follow treasuries and commodities trends to find out. Silver bugs, do not fret. The gray metal rallies late, but always rallies the farthest. So he put this chart up there, and I guess he's seeing some similarities to the buildup here and here. And I guess he's also looking at the RSI, the relative strength index, where he is seeing silver was definitely overbought at this time, where people kept pushing up prices. There was a lot of buying in silver. And I suppose he's looking at this uptick here on the RSI, which we may start to see it break break through a bit and have a lot more buying. So I guess these are the things that Christopher Mullen is looking at. This one interesting from Wall Street Silver. Silver price is about to explode. I'm going to buy some. Online bullion dealers refusing to sell. I don't want to ask you guys that question. Are you folks seeing in your area where bullion is just not being sold, where dealers are not selling it? So yeah, I just wanted to know what you're seeing out there. Big Swear, they just kicked me off YouTube. Yep, I just got kicked off YouTube for a week. God help the new America. Maybe I shouldn't be, or I shouldn't have been exposing all those silver secrets. It's a huge week for silver too. Now this one I did check, and his YouTube site is still up. So I'm not sure where this came from. So if any of you guys have more info on that, let us know. Peter Schiff, if I were to actually buy some Bitcoin, how would I know when to sell? If your answer is to never sell, then what is the point of buying in the first place? And that also brings out another good question where people always ask, what is the exit strategy for gold and silver? And that's a great question. Everyone seems to have a different exit strategy for gold and silver. So it's a great point from Peter there. Okay, rising oil prices, we're seeing that. I think oil is right about $60 a barrel still, and I guess we can kind of end it there. So a lot of interesting news out there. Um, so again, let me go over some comments and see what you guys put, and then we'll go ahead and move on from here. Okay, Ray Ung is saying JM Bullion has plenty. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, Jeff 702. Yeah, Hugo has been quiet lately. I would have thought he Hugo Salinas, right? I would have thought he'd be coming out right now and really trying to be at the crest of that silver wave right now. Okay, what else is out there? Okay, Hunt Brothers. Well, they're still around, but the only silver they're around right now is trying to get around that Lombardi Trophy, which is made out of silver. I think it's sterling silver, 7 pounds of sterling silver, I believe. That's the only silver there around right now. Um, okay, so let's see what else is out there. Okay, so let's move on, and I want to touch on the London gold pool because this is pretty interesting here. With Chris Powell's interview and Robinhood and SLBs and all of these things, when I look at it, I find sort of a common denominator, and that common denominator being the London Gold Pool, or at least the history of it and what happened back then and with the London Gold Pool. So I want to go back and take a look at what the London Gold Pool was, and maybe even to what it has evolved into. So in July of 44, before the conclusion of World War II, delegates from the 44 Allied nations gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, U.S., to reestablish and regulate the international financial system. And the meeting resulted in the founding of the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and was followed by other post war reconstruction efforts, such as establishing the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, the GATT. Some of you folks may remember that word. And the IMF was charged with the maintenance of a system of international currency exchange rates, which became known as the Bretton Woods system. And the London Gold Pool was a pooling of the gold reserves by a group of 8 central banks in the US and 7 European countries that agreed on the 1st of November in 61 cooperate cooperate in maintaining the Bretton Woods system of fixed rate convertible currencies and defending a gold price of US $35 per troy ounce by interventions in the London gold market. So again, this is not conspiracy type of thing, things. This is facts. These are history. This is true. Now, the central banks coordinated Central banks coordinated concerted methods of gold sales to balance spikes in the market price of gold as determined by the London Morning Gold Fix while buying gold on price weaknesses. So the market or the central banks were in there throttling the gold price. And the US provided half or 50% of the required gold supply for sale. And the price controls, they were successful for 6 years until the system became no longer workable. The peg price of gold was too low. And after runs on gold, meaning people took delivery, the British pound and the US dollar occurred. France decided to withdraw from the pool. The London gold pool collapsed in March of 68. The London gold pool controls were followed with an effort to suppress the gold price. Okay, hang on. Chris is calling. Okay, let me bring in Chris. Chris, you got headphones? Sorry, there's like an echo.
Huh?
Yeah, you got headphones you could plug in. There's a echo on my side. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, so Chris has chimed in.
We'll get some headphones plugged in. How are you tonight, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm okay, Chris. I was just going over the London gold pool. Let me see.
Yeah.
There's still some echo. Okay, it's better now. No echo.
Test, test, test.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, Chris Marcus is here. He's going to join us, and we are going to be asking him about SLVs and, of course, what he's been finding out. And but first, we're going to go through the London gold pool. Chris, I know you've been digging in. You've been digging in, my friend. So we appreciate the work that you've been doing.
Well, actually, I would dispute that, Patrick. I don't really believe
Mm.
in the four-letter W word anymore. And personally, I've never had more fun at any point in my entire life. It's nice we have sponsors for the show now, and did I lose you there, Patrick?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it's I care about silver. I also care about just living in a somewhat honest, legitimate world, and so it's actually fun just documenting the things that are happening. Partly because, as was pointed out in that movie, The Big Short, I think really the whole strategy is just to hope nobody ever double checks any of the things these guys say. And I find the more I've been doing that, the easier it is to catch them. And it's really encouraging with, a lot of the new interest in this story because, it's not just me. And I think it's making a big difference as people are realizing, oh, this is how it works. And this is how we can avoid being screwed, which I think is personally fantastic.
Well, avoiding being screwed is always fantastic. But let,
So it's
let me
not
just
work, it's fun play at this point.
and there you go. You gotta have fun with it. So let me just finish up real quick what we were on, and then we'll start to get into some nitty gritty here. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Hang on. Um, okay, yeah. So the central banks, they coordinated and concerted methods of gold sales to balance spikes in the market price of gold as determined by the London Morning Fix. While buying gold on price weakness, the U.S. provided up to half of the required gold supply for sale. And this will be the wrap up here. Actually, I was in the last paragraph where the London gold pool controls were followed with an effort to suppress the gold price with a two-tier system of official exchange and open market transactions. And it's kind of what we still see today. But this gold window collapsed in 71 with Nixon's shock and resulted in an onset of the gold bull market, which we saw price of gold appreciate rapidly in the U.S. from 850 to 1980. So, Chris, I was touching on the London gold pool and how it ultimately failed, and part of how it failed was because people started taking delivery, and here we are again with SLV, and we're seeing so much paper contracts coming onto the market, and do those contracts, or are they accounted for by physical silver at this point?
I mean, I can't find anyone who can explain how the numbers add up. And I have some theories on what specifically might be happening. Maybe I'll save that until I can be a little bit certain. I hope that there's not just like a box of footballs in the vault. My guess is that there's something there, but when you see like on February 2nd where the silver comes down 10%, well, SLV adds not, I don't think just calling like a record amount of silver into the trust puts it in perspective. Prior to that weekend, the record in the history of SLV and the Silver Trust was about 20 million ounces in a day. And then in the span of a weekend, you had 34 million ounces, then 20. And then on the day when the price of silver comes down 10%, they claim that they put 61 million ounces in there, defying any known laws of economics and supply and demand. It's interesting that happens a lot when JP Morgan's trust is involved because, I don't know, Patrick, would it seem odd to you if over the 2-day period last March when silver fell from $15 to below 12, a couple bucks lower than it cost miners to dig it out of the ground, somehow JP Morgan added metal into the trust?
Yeah. Well, they are the custodian and more or less the only ones who audited, right?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, that's not giving them full credit. Do you know they're custodian and authorized participant? I mean, that's like, shouldn't it be one or the other?
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of those
And then
numbers,
they're the custodian of most of the other silver trusts too.
Yeah.
And the last time SLV was audited was when they claimed there was 387 million ounces. Now it's almost double. And, in that time period, also JP Morgan settled a $920 million fine. Yeah. Worth noting is that, just to give you an idea of the character of people we're dealing with, because I think it's fair to put it in proper context, they've never said anything. Although their junior guys said plenty, including every single one who was arrested mentioned that widespread practice at the firm done with the knowledge of their bosses. So it wasn't a couple rogue guys, but again, they say nothing, leave these guys hang out to dry, and everything in these silver trusts is basically counting on their word, which I steer clear from myself.
Yeah, I hear you. Big Swear has something interesting to say, so I'll roll this clip and then get your opinion on it afterwards.
Cool.
The 1-to-1 ratio of gold to silver. That is coming. It won't happen overnight. It could happen overnight. It could happen at any moment. But we talk about, I will be posting something about kind of the duration. It's not going to happen next week on Wednesday when the COMEX, oh, by the way, have you seen the COMEX? We have 3 trading days left. Look at the open interest. 59,900. 60,000 contracts open times 5,000 ounces is 300, right? Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. 300 million ounces can stand for delivery now. Of course, the COMEX doesn't have any. That's not spoken for. So we got a problem. Yes, it will shed its light. Probably next weekend is when you won't be able to get any physical. And then who knows how long that lasts. And then it's like, well, you could get physical, but it's going to cost you double in premiums. And then they still can't get it. I mean, we're still looking at a lot of these silver dealers have waits. Oh, yeah, I'll get you your silver in 3 weeks. It will never come. This is the end game. So hang on tight. This is unheard of.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to touch on those numbers that Bix gave from COMEX. How telling do you think this week is going to be?
I'm darn excited about it. I want to phrase this in the correct way. I mean, I think if there's anything we've learned about the silver market, especially when the thing is rigged, it's hard to know what rule change that you can't expect. But with that said, I mean, this is the highest alert I've been in of any given week since I've been following the silver market. On one hand, I think it's interesting how so many people just feel it. even more than they can often put it into words. And I think there's something to that. Although, if for the folks that want to hear more of a logical, analytical, data-driven view, where I just keep thinking we have these massive premiums for physical to the point where I think you and I talked about it on one of these calls last week, where you can't buy a large pile of 1,000-ounce bars. It's now in the wholesale market. And so you have an economic incentive, and these are even with the wholesale dealers that have COMEX accounts. So when I talked to those 4 dealers, and for folks who may be hearing this for the first time, I called a bunch of dealers. This was almost 2 weeks ago now, I believe. And I was saying, if I had a customer who said, I have $10 million, I'm ready to send a wire, but they all said, yeah, we could do it, but it's going to take a month. And I said, well, what if the guy wants it this week? What if he's willing to pay a premium? Not one of them said, well, hey, we can, if you pay 50%, I'll find a way. They just said no. And I don't understand why, if they have a COMEX account and someone's offering free money, that's unusual for Wall Street to say no, which sets up a dynamic now where the only answer I've heard so far is that the COMEX makes it difficult. And I have no doubt that they will continue to do that. But I think we're at the point that let's say that you have a bunch of people come away like going on YouTube shows saying, hey, I tried to take delivery on the COMEX and they gave me this silly reason, that silly reason. I don't think this is 1980 anymore where you can like fleece people. There's too many people watching now. And on top of it, I've been hearing from people who are taking delivery. And I'm finding that I'm hearing more and more about it. Like last week, I heard people talking about it. In the past, over the weekend, heard from 2 people that I will not name, but have customers that want to do that. I'm guessing there's a lot of people out there in the world that are thinking about the same thing that aren't telling me. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how this plays out. Hey, could they come up with something I couldn't imagine right now and string it out a lot longer? But I don't think a lot longer at this point. It just seems you have too many people watching it and understand it and are catching them at every turn. So we'll see how long it goes on, but it is sure got that Enron about to blow feel.
Yeah, that's true. That Enron about to blow feel. Chris, let's say, this week comes and there are substantial amount of deliveries. If this happens, what do you think it's going to look like? What do you think we're going to see? I mean, I think a lot of us are maybe cheering then, but I mean, what do you think we're really going to see if this happens?
I don't know whether it'll be this week or not, but I mean, to me, for the last 10 years, it's always seemed as if it was, I mean, maybe the regulators do something, but we know that they have no intention of honoring the oath that they swore Pledge of Allegiance to uphold. So aside of that, it's always been headed towards the ending of It's a Wonderful Life. In the book I did, The Big Silver Short, I asked a bunch of the different guys that I interviewed for every ounce of silver, how many paper claims are on it. Nobody came back with an answer less than 500 to 1. Patrick, I saw in the background of that video Bix was playing, you could see the volume chart. And on that same February 2nd day, which I would contend, I think something broke that day. And you look at the volume on the chart, and then you find out February 3rd, which they didn't tell anyone, and it was only because Ronan Manley went through the documents and found it. They went in and changed the language in all the prospectuses. And then they sent a guy out to lie about it the next day after that. I mean, there was a series of felony that took place that week, which, for anyone that hasn't heard this yet, now I have a legal team that's already been submitting evidence, getting it on the record, and starting that process. I was not stunned that they did it, but you had that weekend, I guess it was 3 weeks ago now, where silver opens a Sunday night, touches $30 on Monday. And it's like, yeah, I guess you knew they were going to hammer it because it's the only play they have. It's Patrick, are you a basketball fan?
Yeah.
Remember
well,
the
yeah.
Utah Jazz with John Stockton and Karl Malone? They would always run that pick and roll. And
Same
if you
play.
couldn't stop it, you're going to run the darn play every time.
Yeah.
The banks have the lion print. It's like the Fed, all they know is the lion print. And the same with the bullion banks in the market. They know the lion print or lion hammer the bid. Print paper contracts, hammer it on there. And so sure enough, that's why I was wondering, I'm like, when silver's up at $30, we even did a webinar earlier that night where it's like, well, you got to figure they're going to dump a lot of paper because that's all they know. It's it's like if someone's a drunken gambling addict. Whether it's this hand or the next hand, if someone's going to just keep doubling down recklessly, you know where you're going to get. And so that's the same thing that that some bank did, that JP Morgan sent a sell report out to, which I'm looking forward to getting a judge's opinion on that one, given the context. Looked like it got front run pretty good too. But they did it while everyone was watching. And I wrote up the evidence. And now you got other people that it was just like they bluffed at the wrong time and they got called. And it seems like the thing's broken because when you see like those changes in the middle of the night in the prospectus, I mean, and the stuff that they said in there is and I can pull some of it up if you'd like, but and then to send out Jeff Curry to say what he said. He didn't mention anything about the prospectus changes. And Patrick, I think you know that I called iShares to confirm a bunch of things. I didn't realize it at the time, but later on I'm looking back at the dates, and when I found out the day I called iShares was February 5th, they didn't say anything about prospectus changes. I mean, there's a lot of red flags emerging, and perhaps it seems like there's a lot of these guys panicking. That strikes me as panic, that sequence of events.
Yeah, we just interviewed Chris Powell, and he had some. Of course, he always has some great words to say. I'll just run through a clip.
I listened to that one this morning.
Oh, thanks. I'll just run through one clip that he also said. Maybe why nothing ever really seems to happen.
I imagine that since these big banks, Morgan and the others, are agents of governments and central banks in the financial markets, these big banks surely know how the government is involved in rigging the markets. And I suspect that the government is making a deal with these banks saying, okay, look, you've done a lot of work for us, but you also did some bad things on your own account. We got to do something about this. How about if we go after the little people and we, make you pay some fines, and we won't go after the top people, and you don't squeal on us either. I mean, that's what the deal looks like to me.
Yeah, you just okay. So I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. Of course, it's always hard to prove, but you did interview Bart Chilton, former CFTC, right? He was a regulator in there, and he kind of leaned towards that side that there's something going on, right?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the parts that I really enjoyed listening to this morning, because maybe this is just my perspective, but might be helpful, hopefully. Where, I think on a day-to-day level, if you went into some of these bullion banks, they're probably like a typical banker. They're any way they can make money, regardless of whether legal or not, they're going to do it. I don't know that, your congressman or average president, or I don't know how much those guys are day-to-day involved. I mean, from certainly the Bart Chilton interview and just having common sense. I mean, they say they settled with JP Morgan for $920 million, yet the same thing that they call spoofing happens time and time again. And it's like, okay, you got this settlement, but it's still happening. Are you going to stop that? So it seemed to, I mean, and when you think about how everything government does is based on the paper dollar, you can't play war games, you can't steal all this other stuff that goes missing, 21 trillion missing dollars without the printing press, and essentially silver and gold end that. But so, trying to think of how to phrase this right. Yet, I wonder if what we think of as the boundary between banking and government is probably, in my opinion, a little less than maybe others would see it. I mean, look at how many Goldman Sachs executives go. You have Mnuchin in the Treasury, whatever title the Czar Paulson had. I mean, they go back and forth between the colleges, the banks, and the government posts. So I don't know. I mean, when you see these guys in there, and who's really running the show? Is there really a boundary? I don't know. I mean, in the end, there's a lot of people that get involved in a lot of the same things, but yeah, Bart sure made it sound like it was a rigged deal from his perspective. I mean, he talked about the other commissioners blocking emails with evidence. You know, okay. It's not that complex. There's some, what is the Mooney, Representative Mooney, and then there's
West Virginia.
There's been a few people here and there, but it's okay. Like the Fort Knox, we don't have to get like really down the rabbit hole here, but I mean, if this is the nation's whenever audits it, I mean, it's not a stretch to say, well, that might be a good idea, So, I mean, it's like, what are you supposed to think? And then they send Steve Mnuchin there. He says gold is safe. He didn't say the gold here is safe or the gold that we promised that is in here is safe. And what most people didn't report, he even said, wow, it'd be quite a movie if we opened it up and the gold wasn't there. Did you know that he actually said that, Patrick?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's a former movie producer. Now he's the Treasury head. I mean, and given the context, could we say in the least that's a little bit inappropriate? I don't find it funny. I kind of find it. Yeah, I do find it funny, but like sad, tragic funny. I don't find it appropriate. It's funny in how asininely inappropriate it is, given the context, given that. You know, what did we heard? The Trump administration was going to pare down the budget, went from 20 to 29 trillion. So, but it's always funny to these guys. The same way when Ben Bernanke said in front of Congress, he doesn't understand gold and he doesn't know anybody else who does either. And you hear them all chuckle. Like, it's funny. It's like nobody's like, oh, what is a dollar? A dollar was like supposed to be like a token of gold. Kind of the same as like an SLV share is supposed to be a token of silver. But, you know, when they take your token, change the rules, say, oh, it was worth 20, we'll give you $21. A couple of years later, it's worth 35. Oh, okay. Similar with like FDIC insurance. Well, that's great. Yeah, everyone thinks it's insured. But A, it's going to require hyperinflation to insure it. Yeah. And B, when last decade, they changed the amount. So if you can change the amount at any time that it's politically convenient, none of these things are insured. You can't insure a Ponzi scheme. That's why it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, if we I guess if we talk about insurance, the insurance for the London Gold Pool was they could not have people take delivery, and it sure seems like the insurance for SLVs
it was the same Ponzi scheme they're running now.
Right.
In
Can't
fact,
take delivery.
Let's think about what happened. We had the SLV or the London Gold Pool, and LBJ wanted guns and butter, wanted to go to war and give out social programs. Well, shockingly enough, that didn't work out so well. And there was such a drain on gold that Nixon had to stop. And so basically you had a lot of spending, basically spending money on the credit card. People relax the assumptions, whether gold, treasuries. I mean, I know sometimes the details get complex, but just imagine anybody spending like a drunken sailor. And they were doing it back then, and that scheme exploded, and then it was only a couple of years before they came up with the COMEX, which I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list because James Anderson sent me Apparently, there's some WikiLeaks about the COMEX where they I believe they make it pretty clear just how honest and full of integrity that thing was. You got the CFTC. So it was maybe like a 3-year break where they were figuring out how to best rig it back after that. Then in 1980, the thing blows up. They changed the rules. I was watching this thing about Silver Thursday. You should watch the part with the CFTC clowns. They're talking about how they were talking about how close the whole system was to crashing back then. I don't even know if you had $1 trillion of debt. You didn't have quantitative easing. And it was interesting. I was noticing like how close they were saying the whole thing was going to melt down. Now we're 40 years later with, hyperinflated trillions and quantitative easing packages. And they're still doing the same thing, but that's why I get it for people who are, tired of waiting. I would say if you've been waiting in the gold market over the last 20 years, you've doubled the stock market returns. Yeah. Gold's up 6x, stock market about 3x. If you're a glutton for punishment, like your average silver bug, like you and me, Patrick, although
yes,
I think we're just attracted to common sense and value and understanding politics and the way the world works. I don't know. I mean, when you understand that's what's underpinning this whole government thing monster that's grown so far out of control, to me, whether I like it or not, it makes sense that people who do dirty things will do dirty things till the end to prevent their cash from running out. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just the same way, some people thought, well, the housing bubble, when's this thing ever going to pop? Well, it popped when it did. And I think the silver is going to be or this dollar scheme with silver going up as a result it's going to happen when it happens. It sure seems like it's getting closer though.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to play one more clip from Bix Weir. You mentioned the word drunken sailor, and although this guy, maybe he's not a drunken sailor, he has been spending quite a bit.
All you people, new physical owners, you want to buy the physical. If you want a lot, go to iShares and you can get, if you have 50,000 shares, you can cash it in for 50,000 ounces by law, by SEC law. And your broker won't know what to do. So press them to say, hey, here's the prospectus. It says I can cash it in. You better go talk to your boys at BlackRock. You're my representative to BlackRock, or BlackRock will pass it off to JP Morgan, whoever they pass it off to. But that, according to the prospectus, you have the right to take delivery if you have 50,000 shares. And that's exactly what's going on here. This might be Elon Musk actually doing this. Wouldn't that be cool? He knows he needs a hell of a lot of silver to run his business. Where's he going to get it? This could be all Elon Musk. 300 million ounces could be Elon. And do you think he's smarter than his competitors? Everybody making those electronic vehicles are going to have to do the same thing. You think Elon will beat him to the punch? Absolutely. He better hurry, though.
Okay, so although he's not a drunken sailor, he's bought a ton of Bitcoin and probably looking where else to go. It would only take one guy like Elon, one guy like Chama P, and it would basically crumble the SLV market, wouldn't it?
I mean, like one guy like Sprott that I hear
somehow
they got it. I was a little surprised to hear that he got 40 million ounces of silver after. I mean, I guess Sprott has more options than he probably, lets me know about officially yet. It was interesting because I talked to a bunch of bullion dealers. They weren't able to fill it. So, obviously he has different means of doing that, but just that was a big chunk of silver. And again, I just find it intriguing that how I'm hearing from different people who are doing it in some cases, others who are interested, and I'm sure not everybody on the planet who's thinking about taking delivery of a COMEX contract are probably not all telling me. So it's like the blood is in the water, where it was always based on keeping it secret. You know that better than anybody. The stuff is there. It's just, it's the same way people reacted before the housing bubble. They're like, no, Bernanke couldn't really be wrong. Greenspan, these guys, they're geniuses. They're the savants, and the banks know everything. Well, that's the mind control of it all. And I would suggest it doesn't have to be that way. And the more people realize, you watching at home, every one of you don't need JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs to give their opinion, especially when they've been caught lying about stuff time and time again. Yeah. And, don't even do anything because I say it or because Patrick says it, but, just like anything in life, the more that we learn and understand and, you can listen to the different things. You listen to Patrick, then listen to Jeff Curry of Goldman Sachs and see which one makes more sense. But I would suggest don't get caught up in the name brand, or if you're going to get caught up in the name brand, then do a full research. I mean, Patrick, you remember when that Carl Levin was talking about Goldman Sachs and the shitty deals, and he said shitty deal like 80 times in 2 minutes. And you see all of a sudden the Goldman guys, then they're, I don't know. We don't know where it came from. Or I don't remember this guy in the email. Okay. I when I was in business school and seeing the recruiting things, everybody remembered everything fine. But then when people get caught and things go bad, I don't remember. I can't recall.
Yeah. Chris, I mean, just because you touched on it, in case guys don't know, can you let them know the difference between the SLV and the PSLV?
Well, I mean, there's a couple mechanical differences, but the main difference is, to me anyway, is the name on it. I don't have any interest in doing anything associated with JP Morgan. I don't care what the deal is. Patrick, you know that rule of 5 where you look at the 5 people you spend the most time with and you're going to often be some reflection of them. So, I mean, if you deal with good people that treat you like family, maybe you miss something, you're in rush one day and they're not looking to roast you on it. If you do that with banks that have these track records, and I mean, red flags popping out of that thing all over the place, I don't know, maybe the metal's there, but I've wondered, I'd love to look at the marks, because when they take in metal on the days where the price is down a lot, I would love to know where they're buying and selling each piece at. I would love to see the CFTC honor the oath that they swore an allegiance to serve to their constituents. Look at the marks on those, because there's, at the very least, reason to question that. So that's your SLV. PSLV, you have Eric Sprott and a lot of people who understand silver and put out honest information about silver. Now, with that said, I tried to get Rick Rule to come on and talk about it, I guess because of the way, whichever technical division he's in, I've not been able to speak with someone directly to go through the mechanics. I see that PSLV, I do believe, offers the audit, so it looks a lot better there. And I feel a lot more comfortable trusting something with Eric Sprott's name on it than with Jamie Dimon's name on it. But again, really the best thing I would suggest for people to do is read through the prospectus. Call someone at Sprott. Talk to the people. And when people say, well, how do I know where to buy gold or silver from? I mean, that's the thing that's good about the silver industry. You can actually talk to people. I'm sure people can reach you, Patrick, or, I know you have a big audience, so maybe not everyone's getting like long financial planning advice via email, but Andy Scheckman, he's accessible. The mining companies, you can call the investor relations. If you want to talk to the CEOs, and I mean, the more that you get to know people, I think that helps a lot. So I would suggest if folks, I wouldn't say just because it says PSLV to throw your money in it. Call someone at Sprott. Ask them your questions. Do they have the answers? Do they sound like they know what they're talking about? Do the smaller things line up? remember a couple of years ago, there's a guy named Brent Cook who wrote great mining stock
Yeah.
analyst. And when I was first digging into the stocks more, I was asking him, what are some things that you can tell? And he said, just look at the website. I mean, does it look like they've been there before? Do they know what they're doing? Do they have it set up properly? Do they have the common things? Mining stock investors like knowing what the share structure is. So not that it makes, means someone can't find it if they don't have it on there, but if they've gone through that before. So you look and just see if things add up, whereas everything that I'm seeing on the SLV, I mean, it's negligent at best. And I don't think it's just negligent.
Okay. Yeah, Chris, you touched on the perspectives. If you could, I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's getting late there, but if you could, what were the key differences or changes made in the SLB prospectus?
Well, give me one moment. If I want to do a screen share, do I need to put it in Chrome?
I think you may be able to just click share. I think you have like a little thing there that says share.
Okay. Uno momento. I'll show you some of these because they're really truly special.
Okay. And one more
And-
question while you're looking for that. We had a little contest going on earlier where we asked the name of your dog. So just to confirm, what is the name of your dog?
Nibbles, the silver dog.
Okay, there you go, Nibbles. Okay, just to confirm.
Yes. Apparently he does a lot of stuff while I'm sleeping because I'll, think of some ideas and then he'll do his magic and then things just fall into place. I'll leave that a secret for now, but we have some exciting things happening. And can you see my screen here, Patrick?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. Okay, there you go. E-
Will go viral with some of these things. And again, anyone, if you're not familiar with Ronan the Destroyer Manley, I love this guy. He is just tearing a new one across all of these bankers because what Jeff Curry, didn't mention, what the iShares representative didn't mention, they go on and say there's no concern of a short squeeze. And then in the language that they don't tell anyone about, I couldn't even find it on their site after I knew they had done it. It is possible that the authorized participants may be unable to acquire sufficient silver that is acceptable for delivery to the trust. Well, that doesn't sound so good. Especially when you scroll down here and connect that. Actually, let's start here. To the extent that the aggregate short exposure exceeds the number of shares available, what is that? That the aggregate short exposure exceeds the number of shorts available? So when Jeff Curry says that he doesn't see any chance of a short squeeze, maybe you should read the changes and find that he's an authorized participant for. Investors with short exposure may have to pay a premium to repurchase shares for delivery to share lenders, which, again, my background is as an equity options trader. I was running a specialist post on a New York Stock Exchange. So even though it's been a couple of years, I'd like to think I have the credentials to say that's the definition of a short squeeze. Although, check this little nugget out. And this is how it connects back to the top. In turn, those repurchases may dramatically increase the price of the shares until additional shares are issued through the creation process. But as we found out here, they just acknowledge that authorized participants may not be able to readily acquire sufficient amounts of silver, which creates, hey, maybe this is just not what they plan to do, but does leave the loophole open in an industry where people are trained to exploit such loopholes. They're saying here, if you get caught short and you want to buy back in, you might need the basket. But the authorized participant, Goldman Sachs, might not be able to create a basket. And they don't even tell you about that. So, I mean, how safe do you feel with that one? Although at least, Patrick, I don't know if I'm going to blow my credibility here, but actually there's something in these prospectus changes that I think even real silver investors, not fraudulent banks that cheat silver and trading price of the shares has been highly volatile and could continue to be subject to wide fluctuations. The silver market in general has experienced fluctuations that have often been related to factors such as silver's basically supply and demand.
Okay.
And then they send an authorized participant on TV the next day to just tell you you're a conspiracy theorist if you're wondering if there's a short position. And this is the day after. I maintain that, and I think in due time we will look back at February 2nd as a clear break point in the market. I mean, this seems to me like fair to call it damage control. I mean, there's been a lot of unusual things happening over the past couple of years, but this seems to me like panic. Then here in the SIVR, look at some of these. The SIVR lawyers are busy worried about online campaigns intended to harm hedge funds and large banks. I mean, what are they going to put in another amendment tomorrow because we said we think they're crooks or we didn't like the color of their pencil? Why are they worried about online campaigns unless there is a liability to a short squeeze? And actually, Patrick, sometimes you couldn't believe this stuff. That's why I appreciate you letting me pull the article up so people in the audience don't think I'm making this up. Because frankly, if I didn't see it here. So Patrick, you're aware how, anyone who thinks there's a short position or that the silver price is manipulated, we're the big conspiracy nut job, right?
Yeah,
what I don't get.
I think it is.
Could you do me a favor, since maybe I'm unqualified to understand banker language? Could you read the highlighted part there for me?
Great. I kind of lost it, but I don't see your.
It says large banks with substantial short exposures to silver was added February 2nd, the day a record amount of metal was reportedly added into those trusts while the price came down 10%. And they changed the prospectus in the middle of the night before they sent the Goldman guy out there to either make some unusual mistakes or lie. And then of all the things that they slipped in the day before, why are they saying an online campaign to harm hedge funds and large banks with substantial short exposures to silver? Oh, I thought there were no short positions. I thought that was a hedge.
Yeah,
but apparently now
to protect himself again.
So that's why I prefer spending my time with people like you that have honor, that have integrity, that put their face and name and don't hide. Whereas JP Morgan, they have the track record that they do. And although I understand why they don't say anything. After listening to Jeff Curry say what he said, I mean, at least I'll give JP Morgan credit. They're smarter than Goldman. But, so that's why, Patrick, if I needed to store metal and I said, is the silver bullion audited properly? And you told me yes. Now, I'm not saying that this is what other people should do, but just how I would approach it. I mean, I'd probably be like, hey, can I just see the audit just to look? But if you told me, if I was in a rush and I asked you because I've gotten to know you, I see you, I can watch every night, someone who's not disappearing, I would feel comfortable because but with, I don't know, I spent 11 years on Wall Street, another decade since covering it outside, thank God. I mean, it's like, how many times do we have to watch these guys rip people off?
Yeah.
But I think that's changing, which is exciting to me.
Yeah. Well, it is true. We are audited 4 times a year, and people can even they can go ahead and take a look at the audit reports. So it is out there
So,
for people to see. Yeah.
can I ask a question about that?
Hmm.
So, what do you say when, so let's say, someone calls up and they want to see the audit? What do you tell them?
There's a I need to look for, but there's a link on our website that they can go ahead and click, and I mean they can make sure that every parcel is there. It's not attached to a name; it's just by number alone, so that way confidentiality is there, and they'll be able to align up with what the audit says and with what we actually have. So it extremely transparent, extremely transparent. So I mean, even
Okay.
when guys store with us, it goes into what we call parcels, and these parcels have unique identification numbers, which corresponds to that person, and only that person knows it. And it's again extremely transparent, where you will know that it is there. And even as we touched on before you came on, people they want to sometimes use their silver and gold as collateral to take out a loan. So the people who are lending, they can also actually check that this person does actually have the silver and gold. It even tells you where it is, of course, in our vault in Singapore. So it's like you say, you got to surround yourself with good people, and I'm happy that the team here at Silver Bullion, they're good people. But having said that, also you and Andy Sheckman, you guys have a pretty good relationship. What is Andy saying as far as supply in the states?
The last, this was a week or two ago. I know he had been. It's like he still has product. He had loaded up over the last couple of months, and I don't think he's out of product yet. There's some products which are becoming unavailable. I forget which exact coin it was, but he was saying, on this coin, it's now 4-week delay. So there's still silver available. I think that's somewhat consistent. Although I actually went online to buy, I was just looking for some fun coins to buy. I was surprised. A couple of the places I went to, I mean, they had some silver, but you just see a lot of the items were out of stock. And it's when you see that filtering over to the 1,000-ounce bar market, that's what really caught my attention. Since then, we've seen backwardation in the futures, even indications of the lease rates for silver going up. So, I mean, it's not to the point where there's nothing, but I just continue to think about the psychology of how these things go. I mean, you see how we had this happen, and everyone said silver squeeze is done, it's dead, the hashtag counts are down. People are still buying silver. Now it's somewhat becoming a little bit more institutional level. And I mean, what happens the next time silver goes up $1 or $2? Maybe just because it was randomly goes up $1 or $2, it's up 23 cents tonight. I mean, what happens when people realize, oh wait, they told us silver squeeze was over and they were wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you can only lie to people so many times before they realize it. And that's what's changing. It's hard for me to see. I don't know if the banks somehow successfully hammer the price to $22 and keep it there for the next couple of months, then I guess then they'll have won that round. I just find that harder and harder by the day. I mean, I think it's great that they got caught with those SLV changes and that Jeff Curry got caught saying that stuff that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that ends, this week or next month, but at the heart of it was always that if you stop and take the time to look and you're willing to handle people say you're nuts because you're saying something that they just assume. And I've never really run into anyone aside from, a banker that's saying what I'm missing. The evidence is there, and I just don't see how you make that disappear.
Okay, Chris, It's got one last question for you. I should be letting you go. I know it's pretty late for you there, and hope things are going okay where you're at right now. Question I have is, you know, gentleman has said before that he's miners should create a consortium like OPEC and charge more money to the refiners and industrials. Problem solved, break the paper shorts. What do you think about that?
Think it's a fantastic idea. Only wish maybe I had thought of it and started talking to people, and maybe something like that's happening.
Okay. Yeah, I did talk to Keith Newmeyer about it, and he said there are a bit more nuts and bolts to make something like that work, and it's not as easy as we would hope it to be. So anyway, Chris, I think
Well,
I should. Oh, go ahead.
can
Go
I
ahead.
add one comment there?
Sure.
Because I hear that was the other thing that Chris Powell mentioned, where I get it. There's should we bother with the CFTC? These guys are never going to do anything, but I mean, nobody would ever accomplish anything. If we tried once, did it go perfectly, and we give up? But I don't know what the format is, but I have talked with several people who are very interested in doing something like that, and and I want to be careful because I know when you have, like, not in a collusive, illegal way, but just any industry having the key stakeholders, the people who buy and invest in silver, the bullion dealers, the companies that use it. We have a system that the only people who like it are felony banks. So just and that it doesn't matter. Silver, it could be like a bunch of first graders. Anytime you have people stop trying to, everybody's on their own plane, and you get any sort of coordination. I mean, it could be even completely incompetent coordination, but just the effort to bring people together. And fortunately, I like to think that it could be done in a very competent way, and just get a discussion going. Just say, hey, what are the issues you're seeing? And maybe there's one issue I see that I haven't found the solution, but that guy has experience there. So I think it's a great question. A lot of people have mentioned that to me. And I believe I don't know what format that will take, but just, again, getting the conversation going. I think there's a lot of interest in it. A lot of these problems are solvable. And certainly having some dialogue about, all right, this COMEX is the rickety Humpty Dumpty waiting to get pushed over. We'll see when it happens, but when that happens, what we do then? What would we do then? Similar with the whole dollar system, that's what theoretically government's supposed to help with, but instead they just loot it even further and pretend there's nothing there. So that's one of the things that I'm excited to be doing on a couple different levels this year, of just getting people together. We see the issues, we see where there is vulnerability, and fortunately, I would say it's not a matter of just me doing it, but people at home just you can get involved. It's great. Go to that Wall Street Silver group. There's a lot of inspired people there. And Patrick, I know you're on Twitter, I'm on Twitter, and there's a whole community of people that are tagging and sharing these things. And if you have ideas, it doesn't have to be just, I know you and I are both doing as much as we can and coordinating things, but this is a great chance. Everybody ever wants to be like the hero in the movie. I mean, there's a time anyone who wants to step up and lead or teach or help in whatever way their skill set is. I mean, and you see it happening, and it's really inspiring. And there's people who used to just watch the interviews, and now they're going on interviews because they're teaching the new guys. And I would say just get involved. And to be clear, I only advocate things that are legal, honest, and moral and ethical. I don't think you have to resort to anything outside of that. To just sharing the truth and letting people know, hey, this is a 3-card Monty over here. If you can defeat it just by not giving them your money. They need somebody to steal from. So appreciate all you're doing, Patrick, and I've never been more encouraged. Whatever the timeline is, that's what it will be, but it's, to me, you can see the goal, and there's a lot of talented people really doing good things now.
Yeah, amen to that. And likewise, we appreciate what you're doing. You gotta. There's a lot of fans that they do travel from platform to platform. They hear what you're saying. They're hearing what Craig Hemke is saying. They hear what Big Swear is saying. They hear what we say. So I think it's amazing that we don't collaborate, in a sense where we try to deliver the same message, but through our own, independent research and our own thoughts and opinions, we seem to come out to the same conclusions. So I think that's pretty remarkable. And that's where you know that guys are just telling you the truth. I mean, we're all coming out to the same outcome, and we're not on the phone every day with each other. So it's a
It's
good
like,
thing.
go figure. Everyone aside from the banks who seems to have any inclination to get to the truth and spends any amount of time digging into it comes to the same conclusion. And the banks always say the opposite of that. So, I just suggest to people whatever feels right to you, go with and do your own homework and you'll be all right.
Okay, there you go, Chris Marcus. We appreciate the time, and we'll let you get some rest. I've been going through some comments. A lot of guys, they need you to take care of yourself and rest up. You've been on a sort of a tirade lately.
Well, it's all good. And sometimes I feel it's appropriate to stand up when you see something that isn't right. And, but I'm doing well. We have heat and everything, and
Yeah.
appreciate the concern. And thanks so much for having me here.
Again, thank you also, Chris. So I will cut you loose and go ahead and get some rest, my man. You take care of yourself. Okay, so obviously that was Chris Marcus. We were thankful to him for coming by and sharing some time and some thoughts. And I know it's getting a bit up there as far as the hour goes. Uh, there was quite a bit more I wanted to get through, but maybe we'll save it for another time. And if you can do support Chris and his channel at Arcadia Economics. Make sure you watch what happens this week as far as comics. I believe it's this week. Um, you know, dealers, when you see premiums go up, it is basically because before it gets to us, the supply chain premiums pre us in the supply chains are also going up, whether it's from the miners, the mints, the refiners, wherever it is. So um, it's not entirely the dealers. Sometimes I see those comments as well, but by the time it gets to us, a lot of people before us have also raised premiums. So it's something that's pretty much going all across the board. So if you can see some silver and you can get it, go ahead, get it if you can. Let's run through some comments here before I go, and we'll talk about some other things next week. But let me go through some comments. Um, Jack Parsons, I guess Solente likes Greg, and that's good enough for me. I think we're in touch with Gerald, and we're going to be trying to set up an interview as well with Gerald to get him back on. Gerald, if you can, follow his Trends Journal. As you mentioned, Greg Matarino also does write in his Trends Journal. It's turning out to be more and more of a gem as time goes by. Gerald has strong opinions, and but his work is it's always pretty good. It's always pretty good. A few more comments out here. I'll take a look at. Um, let's see, Sarge. You're welcome. You are very welcome. Uh, Truth is what matters most to us. Transparency is what matters most to us. And as Chris said, if ever you need to see the audit, we do have it on our website. You can go ahead and take a look at it. We do audit 4 times a year. That's important. Okay, so let's see. So I guess with that, yeah, I guess I should be heading out as well. It's getting pretty late. Let you guys get some rest. Get ready for your Monday morning. If you're in Asia, got to get to work, right? It's almost headed up towards lunchtime. So again, do appreciate you being here, and we'll go over some things next week. So take care, and as always, saddle up for what's coming ahead and silver up as well. We appreciate Chris Marcus coming on, and always try to be a blessing, not a burden. See you guys next week, and take care. Take care.